Good morning. This is Kathleen Clow with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. The fire potential impacts across the next few days include abnormally hot and dry conditions, where we expect to see temperatures about 7 degrees above normal for this time of year through today, and increasing storm potential through Friday. As high pressure continues to impact the basin, we expect hot and dry conditions today with high temperatures in the triple digits across much of western Nevada and Utah, and the mid to high 90s elsewhere across the basin. We also expect to see some mostly dry storms across central Nevada and mixed wet and dry storms across eastern Idaho and western Wyoming, where we will see a risk for high winds over 30 miles per hour. On Thursday, max temps decrease, but the risk for mixed wet and dry thunderstorms increases in coverage to include northeastern Nevada, all of Utah, eastern Idaho, and western Wyoming, with an additional risk for high winds across the Vegas Strip, Arizona Strip, and southwestern Utah. On Friday, storm coverage decreases to just include mixed storms across Utah, eastern central Idaho, and western Wyoming. The risk for high winds expands to the north to include a larger portion of southwestern Utah and also a portion of western Wyoming and eastern central Idaho. Radar estimates from the past 24 hours show precipitation across the Sierra Front in northern central Idaho, and the satellite loop from yesterday afternoon into the evening shows little to no cloud cover across the basin, but lots of lightning strikes with yesterday's precip, which continued overnight into the early morning hours across northern central Idaho. So we got maybe up to a quarter of an inch of rain with this, and some spots of up to about a half inch with this lightning. In the past 24 hours, the Great Basin had 14 new starts for a total of 124 acres and a large fire growth of 428 acres, and a handful of these were lightning starts from last night's lightning. August 9th through yesterday morning shows no precip across the basin, but yesterday's precip will be reflected in tomorrow's map. In the last 30 days, the basin has still received well below normal precipitation, except northwestern Nevada and sparse pockets in western and northern central Idaho, which have received above normal amounts of precipitation. ERC values remain rapidly on the rise across western Nevada and western Idaho, with almost no green left on the map. The Sierra Front especially has seen a large increase in ERC values across the past week, with majority of points across the area above the 80th percentile and a few more points in that 90 to 90th percentile across the southern Sierra Front. ERC values across the rest of the basin remain extremely high, above 97%, with possibly the most purple we've seen on the map since the creation of this product. We'll hopefully see some ERC values trend down following the next few days of precip and those higher RH values. So hopefully we'll see some down arrows. Satellite from this morning shows scattered cloud cover across Nevada, as well as last night's storms exiting eastern central Idaho with a few stray lightning strikes and clear skies across Utah and the rest of the basin. Light smoke impacts across most of the basin today, with some heavier impacts across southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip from those ongoing California fires and the Dragon Bravo fire. Central Utah will see some more smoke impacts from the Beulah and Monroe Canyon fires today, and southeastern Utah will see some smoke impacts from the Lee fire in Colorado as well. We'll see similar impacts tomorrow, with maybe overall more of a background impact and more of an impact across Utah as a whole as the winds kind of shift and bring more smoke into central Utah. For today, we've issued high risk for winds above 30 miles per hour across eastern central Idaho and western Wyoming, as well as a lightning risk across the southern Sierra Front to the northeast across central Nevada from those expected mixed wet and dry storms. The majority of the basin will remain at moderate risk due to the continued dry and breezy conditions, with a potential for some mixed but mostly dry storms across the Arizona Strip as well. Still a concern today for those above average temperatures, mid to high 90s across most of the basin, with triple digits in northern Utah, western Nevada, and the Vegas and Arizona strips. You can see 101, 102 around Salt Lake City. There's an additional chance for some mostly dry thunderstorms across central Nevada and the Arizona Strip, as well as parts of central Idaho and western Wyoming. Precip totals will still be pretty light, likely less than a tenth of an inch, with very sparse pockets of up to 2/10. So mostly dry, kind of more worried about the lightning risks today. We expect some heavier winds in those mostly dry thunderstorm outflows seen across central Nevada, northern Utah, and western Wyoming, as well as the Arizona Strip, a few pockets of orange in there. Additionally, we anticipate a risk for high winds across eastern central Idaho and western Wyoming. You can see that large area of orange and pink, where we expect wind gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour. RH values will be slightly higher than yesterday in some areas due to that storm coverage and cloud coverage, but overall across the basin, still critically low, about 15% or less for almost all of the basin. On Thursday, we've increased that lightning risk coverage across northeastern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and much of Utah, as well as eastern central Idaho and western Wyoming, due to the potential for those mixed wet and dry thunderstorms. Conditions remain dry across the other areas of the basin, leaving us in that moderate risk category as well. And we do expect to see some higher winds possibly across central Idaho and western Wyoming. We'll see some relief from those triple digit temps tomorrow, and the basin will have high temperatures between the mid 80s and mid 90s, except the Vegas and Arizona strips and Colorado Utah border, which still remain in the triple digits. Forecast precip shows that mixed storm potential across northeastern Nevada, all of Utah, the Arizona strip, and then a small portion of southeastern central Idaho, as well as western Wyoming. We could see precipitation up to a few tenths of an inch, but mostly pretty dry. You can see a lot of gray on the map, maybe some heavier spots in the blue here and there, but definitely more coverage across Utah tomorrow. Some areas of 25 to 35 mile per hour winds across the Arizona Strip and southwestern Utah in the orange here on the left. And you can also see those storm outflows in the pink and brown kind of across the basin, as well as a higher area of winds up in northern central Idaho. Minimum relative humidities will still be higher across Utah, 19% over the Monroe Canyon fire, 33% over the Beulah fire. So we'll see a little bit of RH recovery on Thursday following the storm potential. But overall, across the rest of the basin, especially in Nevada, we're still in the single to low double digits. On Friday, following the storm cycle, the Arizona Strip, portions of Utah, eastern central Idaho, and western Wyoming will move to low risk, and the rest of the basin is going to remain at that moderate risk, except northern central Idaho, which is still in that low risk category. We're also tracking the potential for some more precipitation across the basin, and you can kind of see that moving across in the black and green there, possibly breezier conditions across central Idaho as well. So on Friday, we expect to see overall cooler temperatures, now looking at temps between the mid 80s to mid 90s across most of the basin, and a continued chance for mixed dry and wet storms across southern Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and most of Utah again, as well as some small portions of southeastern Idaho and western Wyoming. But you can see the rain chances are much higher on Friday for some higher accumulations, maybe up to a half inch in some sparse pockets in the blue. So overall, more chance for rain across Utah on Friday. We also expect to see some higher winds with all of this and 25 to 35 mile per hour range across the Arizona Strip and southwestern Utah, as well as those erratic winds from those storm outflows across central Nevada and Utah in the pink and brown, and a higher portion of winds in western Wyoming and Idaho. Min RH values will be much higher on Friday, so 34% over the Fish Lake and 40% in northeastern Utah. So we are going to see a large recovery in RH on Friday from all of this precip. But again, Nevada is still going to remain pretty dry in the low double digits from this. So really just recovery over Utah. Over the next 3 days, we expect to see light precip with that mixed storm potential across central Nevada, central Utah, and western Wyoming, which could see up to a tenth of an inch of accumulation and sparse pockets of up to a quarter inch in northeastern and southern Utah and the Arizona Strip. So definitely heavier rain chances across some portions of Utah. On Saturday, we've got no high risk triggers again. A few more central Utah zones move to low risk following those precip chances and higher RH. And there's again a chance for some breezier winds across central Idaho and western Wyoming with that storm potential across much of the basin as that low pressure system still kind of tracks through. On Sunday, we expect similar conditions. Dry air is returning across the southern half of the basin, and there's still some storm potential across central Idaho, seen in green, causing a few of those zones to move into the low risk category. So maybe some more rain across Idaho and overall breezier conditions on Sunday. On Monday, dry air remains in place over the rest of the basin, and we do expect some higher winds, especially across western Nevada, and all zones move back to that moderate risk category as things dry out, except for northern central Idaho. But you can see overall just back to those dry, kind of breezy conditions on Monday. On Tuesday, things will continue to dry out, and a few more zones in northern central Idaho will join the rest of the basin at that moderate risk. And you can just see another dry, breezy day on Tuesday. The next 7 days of precip show the chance for some higher amounts across Wyoming, the Arizona Strip, central Utah in the quarter to half inch range, And then the rest of the basin will be seeing some broken precip coverage with some portions of central Nevada, central Idaho, and the rest of Utah receiving up to 1/10 of an inch. But our heaviest rain is going to be across the Arizona Strip and central Utah. The next 8 to 14 days show the chance for above normal temps across the basin, with the highest chance concentrated around northern Utah and the bordering areas of Wyoming and Idaho. The precip outlook shows below normal precip across much of central Idaho, near normal precip across much of Nevada and northwestern Utah and western Wyoming, and then the chance for above average precip across much of Utah and southeastern Nevada, as well as the Arizona Strip. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.